Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Stories That Inspire Us, the author series. My name is Janice Malillo, your host, and let me tell you, I have an amazing guest on, obviously, and I'm just going to start out by saying he's a personal development coach, business coach, and he's referred to as Mr. Consistency, and I think his story behind the story is absolutely fascinating. Welcome to the Stories podcast, Michal. I am so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you for having me, Janice.
You are so welcome. You know, your book, and specifically, we're going to be talking about one of his books. Now, please obviously correct me if I am wrong, but you've published over 19 books.
19 and some translations and other formats.
That is just amazing. And I can't wait to get into, and I kind of think I know, where did the name Mr. Consistency come from?
Well, my friends nicknamed me this name because, like, first we had been in an online transformational contest for 3 months. Every day we posted our progress toward our goals, and then like I get into this rhythm, and I kept that daily blog for a few more years, and they could observe how consistent I was with my daily actions.
And to me, that is so fascinating because we all know that habits in general, there's obviously very good ones, but there's some bad ones out there, you know, and I'm probably guilty of a few myself. What was it about, and what was it about habits? Like, you connected with it by following different mentors. And I really felt like you took on this role before perhaps you even realize that you were headed that way. I really feel that, obviously, being a personal development and business coach, and you were in a previous occupation.
Yes, I had been working as a database administrator in IT. And the like biggest shift was reading The Slight Edge book by Jeff Olson, which really conveys the message of Jim Rohn. Success is a few simple disciplines repeated over time. Failure is a few simple errors repeated over time. So, like, I got the idea and I started following it after a month of reading the book. So I grappled with that message. Finally, I decided to commit and check if that's true. And soon enough, I got some first results. So I kept going, even in the areas that I had zero confidence that I can achieve anything. For example, I was an employee, and starting my own business really was like surreal for me. I had no clue what that is. It even encompass what's going on with building your own business. What are the formalities? How you sell? How you find customers, and so on and so on. Zero clue. But I could do small, simple disciplines every day, and learn every day, and that way, well, I started my business other than outdoor business, which the first book I published in 2013, and my own business I started in 2017, advertising books for other authors on Amazon.
Wow. And, you know, as you were describing that, I imagined, I visualized, I should say, oh, it's almost like you were planting a garden, not really knowing at that moment where it was going to, but you found your meaning, you found your purpose. And then when it struck you, almost like, oh my gosh, I need to do something with this, but how do I do it? and you did it in a way which I think is absolutely fascinating. And of course, the book that we're specifically chatting about today, and I've read it, it's absolutely amazing. Simplify your pursuit of success. 6 simple steps to success. It really was a fascinating book. And I do not have a hardcover of it. Of course, I have the PDF of it. And I just want to let everyone know, if you're ever interested in personal development, this is a great book to read. It's an easy read, chock full of so many great strategies, and really a testament to the work that you put into it, which is absolutely fascinating. So one of the first things that you ask in your book, and I thought this, I was like, oh my God, I'm looking at my notes here. I took like a whole ton of notes. Do you believe success is in your hands? Simple question, right?
Right.
Why is it so difficult, do you think? Because you're the expert on this, for people to realize success really is right in in the palm of our hands.
Well, there are many different reasons. I would say the more pervasive ones are today's culture, which takes the blame off you and stick it to other people because it's easier. Yeah, okay, it's not my fault. It's their fault, and that really absolves you from responsibility. And well, success is not in your hands, but in everybody else's, politicians and your family, and so on and so on. The other is that this is our defensive mechanism. If I export this responsibility to others, well, I cannot blame myself. So I'm good, I'm okay. And that's easier than doing the work, at least in the moment. But when the consequences get you, well, it's harder, of course. You neglected your fitness or career or finances, and then you end up in a miserable place and still blaming everyone around. But that's not the route to success. Your success is in your hands, or at least the ability to generate your success is in your hands, because nothing is guaranteed in this life. You can work hard, be diligent, and still achieve nothing. But one thing is guaranteed: if you do not try, you will achieve nothing. 100%.
Michal, do you think, for instance, where you were an employee, you've started your own business, and being an employee is hard. Starting your own business is hard. So we have hard things in our life. But I think maybe some people, as you were just mentioning, we want to blame sometimes someone else to absolve us. So maybe we stay in this hard over here, being that employee, which is not bad. Okay, I want to make sure, because there are people that love to do that, and I am not bashing them or anything of that nature. So I want to be very clear about that. But I think when we're over here, it's simple and it's familiar. And it makes this over here look just voluminous, like this is really hard. This is hard too, but this is really hard.
Well, I recently heard on some podcast that practically the only thing we humans fear is unknown. So that's why it's so easy to stick with whatever you know, even if it's painful. And it's so much harder to start something new, which is unknown. And we are really not not familiar with the unknown. Like, and another thing I know for sure, some psychologists said this, that changing the image of yourself, your self-image, is harder than getting out from the heart addiction. And whatever we start, which is unknown, really is a danger to our identity, our current identity, because if we start different actions, we'll become a different person. That's guaranteed. So, because we love the known and we love our identity, like we are so attached to whatever shaped us to who we are today, that it's really a enormous struggle to start something new, to become something new.
And you give a really great statistic, and I was really surprised by this in a way. And you mentioned in your book, in that chapter, first chapter, less than 4% of the population is really successful.
Yes, and we have those numbers spread across all different areas, like in the health area, how obesity rates are skyrocketing, how many marriages are falling apart, and so on and so on. So we have different areas, and then like it's like, because I did the research from those MLM companies which are posting the data. Okay, we had so many people who reached certain level of income, and from those data I got this number, 4%. But that's only an indicator of success in monetary terms, because you can be successful financially and still miserable in your marriage, or being an absent parent, which is not success at all, and so on and so on. So yes, I would say 4% is optimistic variant.
That is really fascinating to me. Why do you think that most people ignore the obvious way to get it? And for you, what stuck out to you? Like, what maybe you were cultivating this idea, and then boom, it blew up in your face, and you're like, okay, this is it. So why do you think most people ignore the obvious way to get it?
The obvious way to get success is to persist in something worthwhile. And I've been doing for years the experiment that I put the word success into Google and then the word persistence. And I'm getting like 20 times more results for success every single time. And the numbers are varied. It's like 2 billion for success, and then just 5% for persistence, and like 800 million for success, and less, relatively less for persistence. And like, because we want the shiny thing, not really, or rather, we want the results, but the shiny object is always more tempting than the thing, and I would say again, it's culture, because yes, persistence is a way to succeed in life, in every area of life, but that's not media worthy at all. The stories we see in media and social media are overnight success stories, And successful people are joking about that all the time. Yes, I'm the overnight success, which happened in 20 years. But those 20 years get maybe one paragraph, and everything in the article is, or in the story, is about this success, this shiny thing. So that's cultural one thing. The other is, well, it's really what we started from, yeah. That success is in your hand, but we try to export responsibility. Well, if you truly acknowledge that doing something regularly increases your chances for success, it robs you from excuses. It robs you from this exporting of blame. So you have to take responsibility for your results, for your efforts, and that's scary. And then I may not think good about myself anymore. So it's better to point finger and say it's their fault, and I don't have to do anything.
You know, and excuse me, there really is a cost to that. There's a cost to not following it, but there's also a cost of getting pursuing your success. And as you explained in your book, it's everything goes back to our habits and our mindset. What struck you when you started this process? And for instance, when your friends nicknamed you Mr. Consistency, you did something very consistent every day. That's a habit. And maybe when you first started that habit, maybe it was a little hard. I don't know. But sometimes when we start new habits, it's like, how am I going to get this done? I don't have enough time. But you made the time and you stuck with it. What is one important thing about habits that you're like, this was it for you?
For me, it was really accepting this message from the slight edge as the law of nature. This is what it is. Few simple disciplines will compound into success. A few simple errors repeated over time will compound into a failure. Neglect is really, absence of action, and it's not constant. If you neglect to keep care of your body, you'll not stay the same. Your state, your health will worsen. So, and the slight edge has the chart, which is really speaks to your imagination. You see, it's visualized. So you have this upward curve, you have this downward curve, and timeline. So yeah, if you do nothing, or if you keep repeating errors, everything goes down. If you do something consistently, it compounds. So when I really accepted this as reality, who spoke about that? Andy Andrews, I think, that people can change really fast, but two things must happen. First of all, the concept have to make sense for them. So they accept it as reality. And the second, they need to accept that, okay, it's doable for them, because one thing is, okay, people can travel to a moon, for example, but how I am able to do that? I'm not Elon Musk it's not. So, and totally different is, okay, you get the concept and it applies to you. So for me, this is how I operate. I looked into my past, and sure enough, reading the book, I found, yes, there were some simple disciplines that resulted in success. There were some simple errors, neglect that resulted in failures. So yes, it's true in my life. So if it's true, then it's true that if I do things consistently, I will succeed. And bam, it made sense for me. So I started following this, let's call it system. And then because it really works, I'm fully convinced that that's the law of nature. This is how things work, at least in the human life. And I will go back to that. So after like a month, I practiced speed reading, and I doubled my reading speed. And I was like, oh gosh, amazing. Just 10 minutes a day, and I doubled my speed in only 30 days. That was really important for me because I'm an avid reader. I could read 2 times more in the same time. Amazing. So it reinforced my belief that, okay, that's really true. So I applied, or rather kept applying it in these areas. I had zero belief that I will succeed, like starting my own business. And sure enough, it accumulated and it compounded, and I grew, and I was able to got those successes. I published one book, then the next one, then the fifth one, which became my first bestseller, and one thing to another. I learned new things, and going back to that habits compound, and that's true in human life. In the Talent Code, the book Talent Code, the author describes like biological reality that in our brains, when we repeat something, neural paths are creating. So we repeat, we got those neural paths stronger and stronger. And then only human beings have a substance called myelin, which encompasses those paths and make those neural impulses stronger and faster. So it's even easier for you to practice this thing and get better at it. So we human beings, whatever we repeat, we are sentenced to getting better at it. Like this is biological reality.
Wow. And that is so true. And obviously I am an avid reader, and I always love asking this question. What books are currently on your nightstand?
Well, I don't have a nightstand.
Okay.
And if you can see,
Oh yeah.
there are plenty of books around.
Yes. Oh my goodness, there certainly is.
But most of the books I'm reading, I have on my Kindle. I have few hundred, if not several hundred titles. I always read something written by a saint, Catholic saint. I'm Catholic. I read some personal development books all the time. And because my business is book related, I often read books of my clients, sometimes just for the fun. Like I'm a big, not only believer, like I enjoy reading. For example, now I'm reading, despite the fact I've been married for over 22 years, I'm reading the book of my client, Dating Sucks, But You Don't. And it's a hilarious book, and I get some insight into, man-woman relationships that may be beneficial for my marriage, but I'm reading just for the fun of it. Okay, that
Oh,
was long-winded answer, but
that's
you
okay.
ask an avid reader, so.
That is amazing. Now, do you read more than one book at once?
Yes, usually more than 2. And I have 4 books, which I read every day, a fragment of them. And then when I read them whole, I start again because they shape my philosophy. I want to have them firmly ingrained in my brain.
So I want to share something funny with you, since I've been asking all the questions. Now, obviously, I love to read. which is one of the reasons why I wanted to start the author series on the Stories That Inspire Us podcast. And I love to read so much so I have about, I think it's up to 10 now, books on my nightstand. And I love to read one chapter out of a book. I close it and then I sneak it in the pile. I close my eyes and then I pick up the next book. So I know people think I'm crazy. I tend to read up to 10 books at a time. And then of course I have all my, personal development books that I keep, and I have a desk book. So there's a whole lot of reading going on here. So I thought I would just share that. Michal, what are some ways that clients can work with you? Like, what is the process?
Process of what? I didn't get it.
Like, how would they go about work? Like, do you work with people from all over the world? Like, is there, and how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I work mostly virtually. I have very few, or rather, had very few clients from Poland. So I work virtually, and the best way to get me, well, it's so nice to be Polish guy in the English-speaking world. You just type my name and go in Google and add anything to that, like Medium, Quora, Amazon, books, blog, and I will show up at the top of your search results.
You got a good SEO expert there. That's awesome.
Well, that's really, as I said, being Polish guy in the English-speaking world, like Michal Stawicki books, there are very few Michal Stawickis that are writing, maybe one other, yeah. And well, I have certainly more books and sold more of them, so Amazon loves me more.
Oh my goodness. Well, and of course I have all your links, so I will make sure all that gets in the show notes. Excuse me. This has been such an amazing conversation. I can't wait to read your next book. I'm not sure which one I'm going to pick out to read. And would love, of course, to have you back on again. I hope you definitely will consider coming back to the Stories podcast.
Absolutely. No problem at all. I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. And I just want to segue over a moment and welcome everybody, excuse me, that is currently on the Wisdom audio app. I see so many familiar names. So thank you so much for being here today. I want to let you know, everyone, your story matters. Stories That Inspire Us was inspired, of course, by my son's life-threatening injury. And I just want to preface to everyone, he is doing absolutely wonderful. I am truly blessed and grateful. But that just goes to show you that everyone out there has a story to share. If you have a story to share and you're perhaps not sure how to go about sharing it, please feel free to reach out to me. And I would love to feature you on the podcast. My name is Janice Malillo, the host of Stories That Inspire Us, the author series. I am so inspired by my guest today, Michal. Thank you so much, and we shall see you again all very soon. Bye for now.